So now we're going to apply what we've been doing with these rational expressions to what we call rational functions. So a rational function, r of x, is going to be equal to, you're going to have some polynomial in x in the numerator and some polynomial in x in the denominator. And that's the definition. It's just a function where the numerator is a polynomial and the denominator is a polynomial. One of the things we care about, though, with a rational function is what we call the domain. So if you were thinking about graphing it, we've talked about domain before, but what could the x values be? So let's say you had a rational function like this, 7 over x plus 5 times x minus 1. Let's say that was your rational expression. Well, then you couldn't have x be negative 5 because, see, that would make a 0 and the whole denominator would be 0 and it wouldn't be defined. So you'd have to exclude it from the, did I say negative 5? Negative 5. You'd have to exclude it from the domain. So you could say something like x can't be negative 5. You also have to say, and x cannot be 1, because if x is 1, then the denominator is 0, and you can't divide by 0, it's undefined. So we restrict the domain so that our function will be defined for all the other x's. So our domain is all the real numbers except can't have negative 5 and can't have 1. Now, I noticed in the book that's the way they wrote it. They wrote the domain x cannot be negative 5 and x cannot be 1. Sometimes a lot of textbooks will write it in interval notation. So they would say, think about a number line. Might be easier to explain it this way. And here you are at negative 5, and here you are at 1. And you're saying, okay, I don't want you to be a negative 5. You're out. Like, don't include that number, and don't include that number. Well, all the other numbers are good. All the other real numbers, it's defined. So if you wanted to write it in interval notation, it would look like this. It's all the real numbers from negative infinity to negative 5, but don't include the negative 5. Then it's all the numbers between negative 5 and 1, but don't include the 1. And then it's all the real numbers after 1. So this is in interval notation for the domain. And the other one is not. So I just want you to see that the book is probably going to do something like this. And in WebAssign, you're going to see that, I think. I think they actually just say, they just let you put in the values of what x can't be. But if it asks for the interval notation, then you have to do something like that. Okay? All right. You'll get it.